Waiting on the hosts, waiting on the hosts. Why am I the only one online? I really don't know why. I really don't know why. And I've got... Oh no, I've clicked the wrong button. Hello, hello, hello. Who is this wonderful person?
Hello, wonderful person. The Night Demon Show has come to an end.
Damn it.
Welcome to Two Titans and a Hunter, a Destiny 2 podcast. Dedicated in bringing you all the latest information, news, and opinions. This is the best show for new and veteran Guardians alike, where we share tips, tricks, and tools to help you succeed and enjoy playing even more. So with all that said, let me hand you over to your hosts, the Triumph Hunting Titan Nitedemon, the pink-panted pansy Peroty, and your Hunter Master Ranger, Mr. No One Respawns in Real Life!
Hello and welcome to Two Titans and a Hunter this week. I am your gracious host, Nitedemon, joined, as ever, by Peroty and the Hunter Master Ranger, Mr. No One Respawns in Real Life.
Ooh!
So how's your Destiny weeks been, Peroty and Respawn?
My week has been short but good. I now have another little feather in my cap of I was good in PvP that one day, that one time ever, and I got my Ghost in the Night and Mayhem.
Yeah.
So I'm adding that to my collection to say, look, I did this exactly one time ever out of pure dumb luck and hiding, and I'm gonna call it a win. And then I got my Hoarfrost from the Lost Sector after beating my head against the wall on that, and that's about all I've played this week, other than doing just the enough Castellum and Containment to do the Sever mission, and that's it. So short but sweet.
Respawn, how was your week?
Well, it was good and bad. I kept trying to do Lost Sectors like you guys, and my good buddy
Micah
kept joining in on him. I'm like, oh my god, stop! And he goes, we can do this together. I'm like, no, look at the damn flag. By definition, it says you have to solo. He goes, no, it doesn't. I'm like, yes, it does. So I waited for him. He was doing the dungeon for hours, and he kept trying to tell me he was trying to solo the dungeon, and he keeps getting to a certain part and then dies. So he starts over and gets to a certain part and dies. And then I waited until he was doing it for hours, and I popped in while he's at the final boss, and then popped out. He calls me and immediately he's like, you son of a... I'm like, ha! Got him!
That is nasty.
We do that stuff to each other all the time. Yeah. He's all like, dude, I was on the last run of a flawless run. It's perfect. I didn't know where he was. I just knew he was doing it for a while. And the fact that it was the last boss made it oh so sweet.
So this is a message to all our listeners. If you see Respawn online and you see that he's in a Lost Sector, jump into his party.
Apparently, it doesn't show I'm in a Lost Sector. Micah kept saying when I was in the Lost Sector, it was showing that I was in a raid.
Raid, Lost Sector, all the same kind of thing these days.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe that's why, because I see people in raids sometimes, but they're alone, so maybe that's why. Because I was like, why are they in this raid for 2 hours alone? Maybe that makes more sense.
Spaghetti coding, remember?
So anyway, how was your week? What did you get done besides getting confused as to what days things are on?
Yeah, Lost Sectors come and go. I just try and keep an eye on it, and I know that I've read out the Lost Sectors, and I'm thinking in my head, I know that I've got to go on a certain day, but because my reset is at 6 PM and I don't normally get on at 6 PM, I normally get on the following day. My Lost Sectors are out of skew with North America, basically, because we all bow down to the central time zone of North America.
No, that time zone doesn't exist. It's Pacific time zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bungie Standard Time. Central and Mountain simply don't exist. People out there will tell you they do. They don't.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been doing some Lost Sectors, did some more of me Nightmare Containments, did my Sever mission. And then I stepped foot into a dungeon with my friend Blue Screen, and we two-man stuff, and he hadn't watched any videos, and I hadn't actually paid any attention to the videos that I'd recommended because I wanted to kind of go in blind, which was good fun, you know, shoot some bells. That's it, really. It's pretty easy.
How long did it take you? You had to stand inside. Sorry. How long did it take you to figure out you had to stand in a circle to not be killed?
One time.
One time?
Yeah. Maybe I'd pick that up from a Fallout video.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, like, we were shooting it from across map, and it was teleporting us. And yet, when we would try to shoot it from across map, it would kill us sometimes. And we're like, yo, what's the difference? You know?
I did. We did the first boss, and we're traversing through the rest of the Leviathan, and we got to a room where we had to shoot the bell, and it was in a circular room, and it had statues around the outside. And I shot the bell, and then we found some kind of fragment behind a pillar. And I was like, oh, look, we found a fragment. And then I was like, oh, wonder what happens if we go back to the other realm. And I accidentally shot the bell while not standing in the circle, and we had to then go back and traverse the same bit I did, and Blue wasn't happy with me. So yeah, there was a bit of anger, and he didn't vent it, but I could tell he was angry at me for shooting the bell, and we weren't in a safe zone to respawn, so we had to go all the way back to then come all the way to the same point. But we figured out the statue turning thing pretty quickly and got onto the second boss, and then we had to leave it there because I had other stuff to get on with.
The silence is what tells you he's disappointed in you.
So that's my week. And then hopefully, as it is with you guys over there, it's Father's Day tomorrow, isn't it? It's Father's Day here in the UK as well. So I'm hoping that I can get some Destiny time tomorrow as a quota for Father's Day.
Oh no, you're wrong.
I know I'm wrong.
Your wife is going to use this.
You are
absolutely wrong.
Well, let me say Happy Father's Day, Happy Father's Day, and Happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much.
To the three
Who's
fathers.
Oh wow.
Why do you always miss Arf coming in?
I told you on stream mode, I don't hear the people coming and going, dude.
He's like a ninja. He comes in, he drops his door, and then he vanishes again.
Into the night. Ooh. You know who else does that? Freddy Krueger and Jason.
I was really impressed.
In your dreams.
I was really impressed with Stranger Things that Freddy Krueger suddenly popped up. Not, but not Freddy Krueger, but the actor that played him. Because I love the fact that they keep like referencing the 80s and putting people from the 80s movies and things in. And the kids these days, they watch this Stranger Things and they have no idea who it is.
It's just been announced Kate Bush is number one, and I'm like, why?
Hey, I'm only a few episodes in, guys. No spoilers.
I'm not spoiling it, but yeah, Kate Bush she's broke 3 records this week in the UK for the longest time in between number ones, because I believe the last time that she was number one in the UK was 1978. She's the oldest female artist to be number one now, and then I think it never got to number one before, so it's the longest time before it got to number one. It's like, that's amazing. All thanks to Stranger Things.
Oh, that's marvelous.
Yeah, because I was like you, Respawn. I kind of put it off. I mean, because Obi-Wan Kenobi was out, so I was watching that. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, we're not talking about that, but so we've been slowly watching a little bit of Stranger Things every now and then, and I've been like on every social media thing they keep playing the Kate Bush song, and I'm like, why do they keep referencing this? And I'm like, now I get it. I've got to that episode. I understand.
Speaking of which, if you guys like Obi-Wan Kenobi so much, there's a YouTube channel called Because Science, and they scientifically measure why Obi-Wan is the strongest human being alive or whatever, right? You know how he says, I'll come back even stronger than ever? Like, one of the examples they use is like, you know how he jumps down real far, lands on the ground, and just says, hello, you know?
No.
And they reference how much mass, inertia, and muscle strength and all this other stuff it would take to do that without getting hurt, right? So if you watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, check out Because
the
Science
force to cushion his blow.
But space magic.
Yeah, space magic.
Yeah,
space magic.
I don't need people on a YouTube channel to tell me that he's stronger. He uses space magic.
Yeah, but they don't.
George Lucas told me
they
he uses space
scientifically
magic.
tell you how he does it without using the words space magic. They put it into science, not magic.
Okay, then he's on wires.
Well, magic is only science we don't yet understand.
There you go. Yeah, everybody knows the Force is made out of,
Medical
wires and
mold.
blue screen.
Yeah, mold. Bacteria. Yeah,
No?
bacteria.
So, Arf, we welcome to the show. We
Thank you.
haven't actually officially started, but we're kind of starting.
Well, I was summoned, so
I know.
I came.
Because we don't want to let the people down. That they expect the law, and you promised them law.
I did, and I was all ready for it, and the laptop was already started up, but I was getting very sleepy on the sofa watching Spider-Man with my son. I was all getting ready for my afternoon nap.
So, what have you done this week in Destiny?
I have. I've actually got all the Crow story missions done.
Cool.
I was all ready to start the next story mission. Then I got error code wife.
Nice.
That's the worst one to get.
Yeah, I've done the containment events, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I haven't enjoyed an event that much since Escalation Protocol, because it was just chaos and kill things, and it's great fun.
Yeah.
Story missions, little bit repetitive.
A little bit? No, they're highly repetitive.
No, we get to visit new parts in the Leviathan. That's not repetitive.
Well, so far on the Crow one, I've just gone around it twice, and
found two different
seemed
ways
pretty
to
much the
open
same
the
to me.
No, it's the Zavala one does change up slightly. You do stuff the first week, then it's changed for the second week in where you're kind of walking around. So
I'm up to level 27 on my season pass now, considering I only started about a week ago on it.
yeah,
It's
that's
not
good.
bad.
It's not bad at all. So yeah, I think I'm level. What level am I? I can't. Hang on.
27.
No. Actual power level.
That doesn't
He
matter.
is
It's just
invincible.
a made up number.
Yeah, it is a made up number this season.
Oh, okay.
Made up
Well-
number every season.
I'm
Right.
past level 1520. So considering I was only 1500 going into this season, I don't think I'm doing too bad.
No, that's good progress. You do sound like a man that would benefit from bounty hoarding towards the end of the season. To kind
Yeah, but that would mean I'd have to play the game.
of,
Incomplete bounties.
We'll have to hoard them at some point to be able to.
So, where do we want to go first in our show? Do we want to go with what's happening next week in Destiny, or do we want to go straight into the lore? How long have we got an ARF for?
We should probably do the lore because ARF has to disappear in an
At
undetermined
any
amount of
given
time,
second.
and I have to disappear at about 90
I've
minutes.
got to go.
from
See you
the
later.
lore.
So, as promised last week, he is back. He has more lore. It's time for Not Half-Assed Lore.
This is the lore entry in the Lucent Tales book. Quick update. This is, I believe now, this is actually from getting all the Lucent moths. Is how you get this book.
Okay.
This is chapter 4, Ulok.
Rise again, Luzaku. 8! Rise and take back the logic this heretic won in your death. Yes, arm yourself and lay down low the Guardian Scourge. The false inheritor of the light has gone fat on your weakness. To whittle him thin is to make yourself strong. Yes, he lies broken, just as the gift mast. But be wary. Yes, there. His ghost awakens him again, and your victory is sound. Mind the bullets. Bathe in the metal rain and be cleansed, not drowned. Lift up your shredder. It is your tutor in studying the shape of your foe. 8! Again, he lies in ruin, and you learn well your lesson. Yes, seizing the ghost. The logic from this kill will make you stronger. With this ghost, you crush not only the foe before you, but every foe he could have been. It is a whole worth of him in your hand. Gaze upon it. Yes, see how it trembles, so fragile. describing you and your victory. Take it now, in this moment of ultimate truth. Grow drunk on victory and in revelry, knowing the worth of this thing. Crush the ghost. Why do you linger, Luzaku? What is there to be learned with your eyes that you will not learn with your fists? Do you not wish to be something real? Something that lasts forever? Why do you look to me? Children are curious. Humans are curious. But Hive are strong. Your understanding comes in vanquishing things. So do it! No! It's free! This is what your speculating has wrought! Luzaku! You have failed, and now the tide of the universe will erode in your meaningless dust. All that you could have become has slipped through your fumbling fingers. The Guardian will return, flush and hungry from his death, and then you will be dead. Fight!
Was that your voice?
Yeah.
Oh my god, we all thought it was like a good. We're all trying to figure out who that is, man.
It's either it's one bird or the other. The trained ear
Wow,
can tell the
guys,
difference.
we were all wrong, very wrong. they're all putting names in the chat. I'm like, no, it's not Varix. No, it's not this person. Wow,
So
we got played.
this ghost seems to be a bit more evil than some of the other ghosts that we've heard before.
So is this ghost telling them to crush our ghosts? Because it was just saying, crush the ghost. What ghost are they referring
Yes,
to?
basically, he is, and unmade ghosts as well. Because what we're finding is to prevent actually any more guardians being made, they're saying to crush our ghosts and unpaired ghosts.
Ghost apocalypse.
Yes.
Oh.
And
That's
bring
not
in
good.
Cyril the Ghost Hunter.
No, leave the ghost alone. They didn't hurt nobody.
So this character that that's been resurrected, Luzaku. So this is the I believe that you were telling us about this one quite a while back, about a knight that kind of found a bit of conscience, didn't he? He kind of found his conscience trying not to kill other ghosts.
Questioned.
Yeah.
He questioned that the actual why they are actually doing this, because he saw it as crushing. How do I describe this? He felt it was wrong to be crushing ghosts when they could actually bring more Hive back, or not Hive, some Krill back as light bearers.
Yeah.
Are you referring to the ones that we're killing?
I think it's all ghosts in general. And to be honest, I think it's going to come out that we were wrong for crushing ghosts in the first place.
I mean, yeah, we are wrong for it, but there's no other way to keep the Hive from resurrecting.
But they're not the Hive now, because you've killed them. Their worm has died. The light has brought them back. They are Krill. They are not
But
Hive.
they're still hostile to us, though. I mean, what would you do if you had an immortal guy trying to kill you just for eternity? Because they're not going to die of old age anytime soon.
Hang on a second, Respawn. Look at it a different way.
Uh-huh.
You're there quite happily. A guardian turns up and goes, "Oh, Hive, let's shoot it." What would you do?
First of all, every time I've entered a room, they've started shooting first. All right.
Yes, but
I'm only defending
how many
myself.
Hive have you shot?
I've shot first.
I shot first. This was defensive. No, if we could sit down with the Hive and have a conversation, because that was my whole thing too. In the beginning, way back, I was like, yo, if she's been brought back, why is she being a B word? We could work together since we're all light bearers now. But it seems like they don't want that. They still want carnage. They still want to take us out. And because of that,
you've got to remember the lucent Hive are Hive with the light. Now, the risen Krill are Krill. They're not Hive anymore because they don't have the symbiote.
Okay, yeah.
But being in that proximity of the light, the Hive there no longer need to kill to gain tribute. The light is satisfying their worm.
Wait, I thought you said they didn't have the worm.
No. You just not listened to me.
I'm trying to pay attention.
Right.
I'm getting mixed signals here.
Right, so
Okay.
you've got the lucent brood.
Yeah, lucent.
Now they're split into two.
Okay.
You've got the hive,
Uh-huh.
and then you have got the risen krill.
The risen krill. Okay.
Right. So the risen krill are basically the krill that have been resurrected by ghosts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the rest of the lucent brood that aren't risen krill are hive. But there is a difference. Because of the proximity to the risen krill and the light that's now in Savathun's throne world, that light has almost suppressed the worm's hunger.
So when you say the light, are we talking about the little butterflies that give them overshields?
No, the light.
Because aside from the lucent ones that actually do guardian-esque things, how are the other guys filled with light? Because they don't have ghosts.
But the throne world is filled with light now because of Savathun, because it's her throne world.
Oh, she's providing light for them? Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. All
I
right.
believe it's something along those lines anyway, but it's actually said in the law, they actually, the rest of the hive, the acolytes, the knights, the thrall, don't need to kill because their worm's hunger is being sated by the light.
And yet they are. Like WTF. I mean, that's even more
Hey,
reason for them to
this
sit down and talk
this
to us.
habit of theirs of trying to kill everything goes back millennia. You try breaking a habit that you've had for that long.
Can I just throw something out there? Listening to you guys, if you think back to what we've kind of learned in Destiny and through the lore, that when Guardians were first made, or we had access to the light, we were warmongers. That we had Iron Lords, we had these people that
We had
basically
warlords.
exploited their power for being who they were. We just exploited it in a different way, and it took how many years for us to kind of come around to actually just being we need to be the light bearers, we need to be the heroes.
We've got no definitive answer on the actual timescale of it.
Yeah.
But it potentially could be a couple of 100 years.
But what we're witnessing here is the birth of a kind of new, not new species, but a new iteration of the species.
I mean, it
with
would
light.
be a new species.
It's not,
because they don't have the worms anymore, right?
but it's going to take them a while. It's not going to be like we're going to sit down tomorrow and thrash it all out and they're going to suddenly be good. They are going to
look how long it took to get a Elixni to actually sit down with us and talk to us. It wasn't till that I think it was the attention between the old Queen's Wrath and my mind's not running today. What's he called? The Splicer?
Verix.
No, he's not a Splicer.
Verix is the one that.
Verix was Verix is the go-between, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Mithrax.
There's a very old tale where the Queen's Wrath at the time, Sher Ido, that was it. It was Sher Ido and Mithrax. She had him prisoner, and he tried to escape. She recaptured him and spoke to him in Elixni. And that was the start of actually the olive branch towards the Elixni. Plus you had Mara being the Kell of the House of Wolves before they defected again, to actually get that bridge built between the two races, to effectively cause that understanding between the two races. And then a like-minded Mithrax, or a person like Mithrax who understood a lot more about humans than we thought, and realized we all have to work together for the benefit of the two races. Until we've got that with the Lucent Brood and the Hive, there is no chance for peace between the two races.
Keep crushing the ghosts. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do we do? Do we like hijack their ghost and say, all right, look, when he resurrects, we're going to resurrect him, I don't know, in a cage or something and try to talk to him? I don't know. But like, how do you get to that point when as soon as they resurrect, they try to kill you?
Well, the only reason why we killed Savathun is she was trying to actually protect the Traveler.
Well, we killed her because we thought she was trying to steal the Traveler.
Exactly. So it was a misunderstanding.
Well, it wasn't even a misunderstanding because she flat out told us that's what she was trying to do. But
no,
she's
yeah, she was, but she was,
and we misunderstood.
She was taking the Traveler to protect him.
Yeah, but like she even told us that. But the problem is, she's the queen of lies. So I mean, how are we supposed to believe her?
She was the queen of lies. She had to obey her nature, otherwise her worm would consume her.
Right.
She no longer has that worm, so she does not have to obey her original nature, so she can actually tell the truth and actually be that genuine person now.
Like you said earlier, creature of habits, right? She's been lying for how long? And to just suddenly turn over a new leaf?
You have got a valid point, but Savathun's been trying to circumvent her worm for many years. Look at the way she tried to use the black hole to bend time so she could gather tribute that way. Unfortunately, the knights she used to experiment with to actually try and do this, their worms realized and consumed them.
You've got to remember, we did a very similar thing with the Traveller and the Warmind with Rasputin, didn't we? We kept the Traveller here on Earth, or Rasputin did, by means of kind of locking it in place, didn't we? That's in the lore.
He did.
There is a piece in the Dark Future lore book, which is a history of another timeline, where we actually went and got the Traveller using the Leviathan, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Using the Leviathan and their light suppressing technology, and dragged him back. So drag the Traveller back.
Isn't there something in lore
went and got him, used the Starfish of Death, and dragged him back.
Okay.
Huh.
But isn't there something in lore to say that Rasputin held the Traveller here?
I don't believe so.
I thought there was.
There's been many rumors of.
He's right. There is lore talking about Rasputin preventing the Travelers from escaping. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing.
It's definitely a thing that we've spoken about.
Yeah. Rasputin had a hand, and it was it was one of the reasons why he couldn't be trusted and why he had to hide himself. I can't remember.
But it sounds very similar to the way that Savathun operated. She wanted to take the Traveller inside the throne world to protect her, or to protect it. And we've kind of done the same thing. We built this Warmind that then maybe it went sentient and decided, no, I'm going to keep this thing here and keep it safe for humanity. That's the best possible thing for humanity, keep them safe.
I don't ever remember reading anything about Rasputin holding the Traveller here. There's been many speculations, and for a long time there it was believed that Rasputin shot the Traveller,
right,
which has been disproved in previous in now different seasons.
Okay, maybe I'm getting my lore mixed up.
Possibly. But I don't actually ever remember reading anything that Rasputin actually held the Traveller in place.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not out there, but I don't remember reading that.
Okay.
And that would be quite a big thing to remember, to be honest.
And the other thing is, when you guys were talking about crushing ghosts, if we are going to move away from crushing ghosts because it's the wrong kind of thing to do, I do like the whole animation of kind of reaching in, grabbing something and crushing it. What they could do in game is adapt that into killing Vex. I'd love to just reach into those chess pieces and grab that core and just like crush it in my hands.
Yeah, but the Vex
almost like a finisher.
Yeah,
Vex don't burn.
No, but if you crush their heart,
it could be you take damage from it, but it gives you some sort of perk as well.
Yeah,
a special finisher almost.
Seeing as it's already kind of in the game for that kind of mechanism to work.
See, no, even the T-Rex King in the chat saying no, that's definitely a thing. Him holding the Traveller. We're not crazy, man. It's a thing.
Well, somebody needs to go and find this stuff out. Peroty's a bit quiet. Peroty's so like research.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking through a Shark Commander trying to see if I can find anything. But there's, needless to say, a lot if you type in Traveler and Rasputin into Ishtar.
Yeah.
There is.
So
I don't know.
this one ghost that we've come across, getting back to the lore, there are quite a few of them out there with this kind of nasty nature of, we've taken on the hive, we want to make sure that the hive prevail, or the krill prevail, and they'll be instructing their hosts to kind of crush other ghosts that are light bearers.
Yes.
They've kind of got the wrong end of the stick, a bit like when we first came across the other ghosts in game, and we decided we were going to crush it because it was the only thing to kind of stop them repeatedly coming back.
Well, we didn't understand it was a genuine ghost at first. To play devil's advocate here, we didn't understand that. We thought that was there was nothing in lore at that time to say that was a genuine ghost. We thought that was some trickery by Savathun resurrecting the old ghosts, or a dead ghost in some way of the hive.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Our ghost was pretty adamant about killing it. You can tell it's not me, right? It's not like me. Kill it, kill it, kill it. It's like, whoa, my dude. That's awfully dark of you all of a sudden.
You know what? If Spider was still active at this point in time in the Tangled Shore collecting dead ghosts, he'd have a field day with the amount of dead ghosts that he could get from the throne world.
We got a load of dead ghosts off Spider, or not us, but she got a load of dead ghosts via Spider to study.
Yeah.
In previous seasons, I think it was the Crow. Didn't Crow give them to her? Oh no, Crow bought them to Osiris.
That was it. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
I vaguely remember that in lore. I mean, she couldn't do anything with them because they were dead. There was no, but
it was just ghost shells.
Yeah, ghost shells. You could still study them.
The nerds of Twitter, and I dropped a link into the host chat. So Rasputin absolutely did 100% set up a protocol to attack and cripple the Traveler if it started to leave. But as of right now, and this was a couple of years ago, when this was posted, we don't know if the Traveler actually tried to leave or not. So Rasputin was absolutely preparing to cripple the Traveler from leaving, but I don't know in the time since this was posted and now, has the Traveler actually tried to leave? So do we actually know if the protocol ever went into effect, or just, there was a the protocol exists, but was it ever used? That's sort of the open question.
I see.
And that's quite interesting because where Rasputin is at this current time hasn't got access to the kind of the war minds kind of structure, has he?
There's speculation about the Nephilim stronghold.
Okay, elaborate.
Now, I believe this was discovered at the end of the clue board.
Okay.
In the Witch Queen, that there was a reference to the Nephili stronghold, where it's believed there is. Well, it's been speculated that there may be. It's almost like a cloud server.
Okay, so is this on Mars?
We don't know where it is currently.
Okay.
We don't know if it's off-world. The thing is with Rasputin, it's there was all those bunkers in the Warmind season, not the Warmind. Yeah, the Warmind. It was the Warmind season, not the Warmind expansion.
Okay.
Yeah, the season of the Warmind. I can't remember exactly what it's called, where he took down the Almighty. Yeah, when he shot him out of the sky.
Weren't there several different Warminds? There was Charlemagne, wasn't there?
Well, this has been discussed. There is only ever one Warmind. It's been discussed that he possibly could have been submines, or
like sub protocols.
Yeah, basically, or it could be just a case of this was Rasputin under a different name to try and cover tracks.
Okay.
There was talk of that being 7 Warminds.
On different planets?
Rasputin being one of them. There was Charlemagne. There were several others. But this was...
There was that Exo Guardian that was constantly trying to be killed by Rasputin because he had Rasputin info in him, right?
Yeah, well, he was Rasputin.
Yeah, he was Rasputin, yeah.
They called him the son of Rasputin, but effectively it was Rasputin. And that was Felwinter.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Felwinter.
So that's going to be interesting going forward then, if in the story beats that we get, maybe Lightfall is something to do with the Traveller leaving, and Rasputin has to activate this protocol to keep the Traveller here, so that it keeps the battleground close to home rather than chasing it through the system and going somewhere new. But I would prefer going somewhere new, but...
Well, that could lead into the final shape then.
Yeah.
We follow the Traveller along with the Elixni and the Cabal.
And I was thinking about this the other day, doing the Sever missions. I know this is slightly off topic of the lore, but with the Sever missions and Zavala going through these traumas and then kind of being...
He doesn't know about the traumas yet, though. I didn't read that far yet. Or play that far.
Yeah, I'm aware of them.
Yeah, there are traumas and things, but I'm not going to go into details about it. But what I was thinking, maybe if Lightfall isn't anything to do with us losing the light, maybe it's us losing the Vanguard completely. Maybe that is a bit like we had with Cade. We lose Zavala, we lose Ikora, and all we're left with is Crow at this point in time that's trying to fill in for some kind of thing. So the Lightfall is the complete disarray of unity and order and the structure, and we're kind of just left with to deal with everything.
I don't think it's quite that like as you described it. I think it's more like the line between the light and the dark will be blurred into non-existence.
But to really truly get that, wouldn't we have to have two other dark subclasses to kind of merge? Look, Guardians could have like three light, 3 dark, and you're just kind of stuck
going
in this
into Lightfall.
Land.
I believe we will possibly get that.
Do you think there's going to be 2? Because that's quite an undertaking, isn't it? Because you get 2 dark.
It is.
Subclasses
That's
in
why I
one
think
expansion.
they're not going to do it until we go into the Lightfall. Is it Lightfall next season? Yeah. Next year. Sorry, not next season.
Yeah. February,
I don't think we'll get it until then, because they've still got to finish off the Arc 3.0. And then they've got, what was that one?
Well, they flat out said
they've got another couple of seasons then to actually perfect and get right the new subclass if it does come.
Yeah, well, they flat out said after Arc, I think it said the team doing the subclass work is going to take a while off. Like, we're not going to see anything new coming on the heels of Arc, other than like Arc said, the tuning of the new 3.0 subclasses. We're not getting brand new dark subclasses soon. Yeah, maybe in Lightfall, but not like the next season after Arc or anything.
Well, that's why I think you'd maybe actually see it in the beginning of the next season. Now they've probably got the framework in shape in the system there to actually do it, because they've now reworked Solar, they've reworked Void, and now they're going to do Arc as well. So the framework's there for them to run off to actually create a new system there, and all the 4 light classes that we have. Sorry, the 3 light classes we have and the 1 dark subclass that we have. They're all the same, working on the same principles, so they can potentially then just use that framework and actually slot in all the aspects and fragments that they need to. And it's going to be a lot of a quicker process now. Now everything's the same almost.
And they've kind of, under the hood, they've reworked poison and burn, haven't they? Because remember when they changed Le Monarch to apparently it was a burn, but now it's poison. They made sure that weapons of sorrow only are certain weapons of sorrow. So I think slowly under the hood they've been doing little changes like that to then maybe when we do get the darkness subclasses. I say when we get the darkness we don't know.
I do think it'll be a poison. More likely with the weapons effects that we have on the energy weapons, with the poison there, with like you say, on Le Monarch and on Thorn. And now we've got the necrotic grips as well. That's already there. That's already there. So for them to actually build a subclass around that would make sense.
Okay, so next part of lore, we've got
Finch 1.
You gotta understand, none of us came here thinking grand schemes. None of us. There was just this urge, So we followed it, only to step into a world remaking itself. The light just thrashed away at the darkness, pounding away. Mountains sloshed into seas like sugar in the rain. A hive throne world remade, on a whim. I'm not what you'd call a believer. Not after all the Red War. Not after the Tangled Shore. Not after a lifetime of never mattering, just 'cause I wasn't half of someone else's whole. But then, that made me feel again. And then I saw him, what was left of him, lying there. Just his corpse, dead maybe, 100 years. It's my night. I look, and I know he's mine. Like hearing a song for the first time, and it's already stuck in your head. And in that moment, I think something good in me died. And 22, and Kemasei, and Marcel, they're all raising their partners. Hive light bearers, every last one. You'd think it'd be impossible. Be sure enough, all standing there. Ellie, Quasit, Hatcha, everyone's finding their purpose. There's Hive to the left of me, Hive to the right. I'm buried in them. And the whole time, every ghost I ever knew is shouting, "Tell me, this is the Traveler's plan? Who are you to question it?" And I thought, maybe they're right. I mean, I could see the light scaring a whole world right in front of me. Maybe this was some kind of turning point for the Hive. Knowing your creator chose you to remake an entire species. Oh, you'd make bad choices too. So I shared my light. Who wouldn't? A couple of hundred of your closest friends bearing down on you, and a Hive shredder waiting if you'd say no. I shared. I reached into him, touched something deep, and what he offered back, it wasn't light or dark. It was cold. Was wrong. And I knew it would fill up whatever empty cracks in me the light had left behind. And I chose to make it a part of me, to be half of his whole. I chose to share my soul with a monster. And the thing is, you can't just be part monster.
See, even he says the knights were monsters, dude. Sword logic or not, man. Like, even the ghost said, I was about to share my heart with a monster, you know?
So this is our handy little buddy Finch that we meet in the Throne World, isn't it? Our new vendor for the Witch Queen.
This is basically him trying to explain why or how he knew he was supposed to resurrect a Hive Knight instead of a human, or an Awoken.
And all his friends had done the same thing. They'd kind of got this instruction from the Traveller, and who are they to argue with the Traveller? Because that's who they work for. And the Traveller's saying, "You've got to resurrect these guys."
Well, that's who they're part of.
Yeah, you've got to resurrect these guys. This is what you're meant to do. This is your chosen person or Hive to resurrect. So he's like, "Yeah, I've got to kind of just go along with the flow. I'm going to follow the rest of the sheep."
And after last season, that we already knew these were selected by the Traveller to be chosen before the darkness got in there. So they were already worthy. So that's why he can actually do this. But they didn't actually know this until recently. No. Well, until Savathun.
Yeah. Was, as you said, I think even we kind of learned this in the game, is Savathun was one of the three chosen ones that should have got the light, but then the dark got there first and kind of coerced them.
Well, I don't think it was so much the individuals that would have got the light. It's the species was chosen, the Krill.
But they were the leaders.
Yes, they were the leaders. They technically they weren't the leaders at the time. Their dad was.
Okay.
The Osmium King.
But wasn't he killed at that point, or was this after or before? Did the darkness got in there before? Did they?
There was the coup.
Yeah.
That was done by Teox.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. The
Teox,
be their brood mother, who brought them up, and she thought they weren't good enough to rule, so she went to the helium drinkers, and said, "Look, I'll give you our technology, You take out the Osmium King and his children, and then I will rule the Krill, and we'll share technology. And they went ahead and did that. Now, unfortunately, the 3 siblings then escaped, but the Osmium King was already being corrupted by the darkness with the worm familiar, which was actually a worm, a dead worm. But somehow it still spoke to him, and it spoke to Sathona, who became Savathun, and led them to the darkness.
So in theory, the Broodmother, who is also Krill, Teox, could possibly wield the light? In theory.
Well, if we knew where she was, and if she's still alive or dead, then yes. Because she's Krill.
She's the final shape.
Or maybe she's running one of the pyramids. We just don't know.
No, we don't know.
I mean, I thought only the last person... Never mind. We had this conversation already. Disregard.
Yes. But you are right in what you're saying. From what I understand for so far, the Witness chooses the best of a race to be one of his disciples.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
Right. Finch 2.
Oh, no. Why of all things did you make me do this? The Hive sadly weren't perfect. Actually, let's not mince words. They were straight up evil. But you? I gave you a part of me. I let you make me worse, just so I could make you better. You were supposed to understand. You were the only one who ever could. Why wouldn't you? Yeah, so really, this is your fault, not mine. I know, you don't want to be dead. I know that. You think I don't know that? I watched you shoot a Guardian and her ghost. Dead. All because I couldn't hear you. In the back of my mind, needing me to bring you back, and I listened to the others, then to you, to everyone except myself. I didn't expect miracles, but I expected something. Yes, you're dead now, and I can hear you. But I can't. Don't you get it? I just can't. I'm not going to be the trigger man anymore. I'm not going to sacrifice humanity on your personal altar. You're not worth it. You're not worthy. And you never were you? Why does Savathun have the light? I should have asked why a long time ago. None of us did at the time, but I should have. We both knew it wasn't right. Look, I've got no faith left in the Traveler, but I know it wouldn't give me a monster and say, make him a god. No. We both know this wasn't right. Was it pity? Optimism? Maybe. Maybe it's just obvious. I mean, Hive don't accept gifts, they take. Maybe the Traveler was tricked. The end of some long con. The Traveler isn't just some dumb orb ripe for grifting. Gaul found that out the hard way. There's gotta be more to it. I have to dig deeper. And if joining you damned me, well, hell, sounds like a good place to start. I'll find out how she did it, and I don't care how much you try to change my mind. You're staying dead. You hear me? You made me a monster, remember? You don't get to cry about it when I act like one.
Where'd the southern draw at the end come from?
You leave me be.
Okay, so he did, in fact, resurrect his knight. Okay, I was under the impression that he let him just stay dead when he found that out. So he resurrected his knight. His knight killed a guardian and the guardian's ghost, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And your boy's just like, nah, bro, I'm not down with this. This is not my jam.
Yeah, he's the knight that you see behind Finch in the Throne World. He's just like lying there behind him.
The dead body? Yeah.
He knows he can resurrect him at any point.
So, which begs another question. He's talking about how, yeah, I can hear you. Can he actually?
Well, that's the interesting thing. I genuinely believe they can. Like, if we were dead, our ghost can hear us. Because this is all part of the connection you've got with your ghost.
right?
How does he know to decompile or recompile and
Because I'm mashing the button.
pop out?
Because I'm mashing the button.
Now, what I mean is when
That's
you
not
die
communication
and he's not,
between
my
he's not
teammate,
there.
So-
Resme.
But yeah, that's an interesting fact because it's always been speculated on whether you actually can hear your ghost when you're dead now, or vice versa. Now we know now this is true. They almost talk to each other.
Or
There's
something.
almost this telepathic link.
Imagine that keep going off on your head because you haven't resurrected him. He's probably screaming and shouting and having a complete
Oh
temper
yeah,
tantrum.
man.
You can imagine
Finch has gotta be
Hive.
losing his little mind,
Yeah.
man.
Finch is just floating now, and all he can hear is, "You're going to resurrect me." How about now?
Oh, I
No?
don't think that Nitedemon is
No?
being anywhere near that nice.
Respawn on a
Yeah,
bad
but
day.
you've got that respawn on a good day. But can you imagine that constant irritation in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't we all have kids? Yeah.
I was going to say it's every week on this show.
Uh-huh.
We have actually learned to blank that out.
Yeah. So what's quite interesting with Finch is that he's got that knight just sitting there. I wonder if that knight can observe either through Finch or through just like a spirit floating there, like we have had with the Sever missions. Are you kind of just there in the presence, knowing what's going on around you? So does he know that Finch is now working with Guardians?
If this ghost or this knight is being a casual observer, just like we do when we die.
Yeah.
Because you know what, in game when we die, we can just sit there and we can look around and we can
Out of body
tell
experience.
everyone
Yeah.
else. Yeah. If he is doing that and he's gathering more intelligence and almost studying us while he's dead, maybe he can be that bridge to finally bridging the gap and causing those peace talks between the light bearers.
Yeah. Either him or Lukazu from the first Lord reading Ulok. If he survives coming across that Guardian, because he had that change of heart, and we've got Finch who's on the opposite side as a ghost with a change of heart.
Yep.
So those two books kind of intertwine quite well, don't they? I know we've met Finch, but we haven't met Lukazu.
Because they are now no longer reliant on this killing aspect of their, I don't really want to call it a religion, their killing aspect of their way of life. Yeah. They can now actually look at, it's almost like us when we learned to farm way back when, but after we became hunter-gatherers, we became farmers, and that gave us more time to think about things, and then everything snowballed and developed from there, almost like that. If you understand the reference I'm trying to make.
No, I got confused then, because when you said farm, I thought I had to open the chest, go to a different area, come back in and reload that area and get the same chest. That's when you say farm to a Destiny person. Sorry,
my brain was started by parsnips. So,
well, if you imagine back in the Stone Ages, we're spending all of our time trying to find food or shelter.
Yeah, we were chasing herds. Yeah.
Yeah. Then when we learned to farm and start domesticating animals, then we had more time to develop to things like art, technology, different technologies.
Yeah.
And then that snowballed and it became a progressively faster thing where we developed as a race. And that's maybe a similar thing that's happening to the Hive now.
Mm.
You mean
so
light?
Yeah, because they've now got the light. They don't have to worry about spending all their time killing to gather that tribute to feed the worm, then to feed to pass their tribute on to their superior, and that goes up into the Grand Pyramid scheme. So they've got now that time to actually look at the world and think, well, maybe this is not too bad. I'd maybe like to grow a little, make a family here, and find out things. Maybe talk to that guy, because even the first book that we read out, the actual Hive there go, well, why do we need to kill now?
Right.
Why do we need to crush ghosts? I just want to be here and do my thing.
I want to live. I want to get
Well,
loot.
that's what I'm thinking, is that the Finch's knight is observing and going, you know what, maybe I am on the wrong side. But then you threw a spanner in the works with the way you were explaining it, saying so he could ultimately be studying us to then be the ultimate baddie that knows how to wield the light and how to fight against us. So you've kind of thrown a spanner in the
Possibly,
works
yes.
for how
It just depends
how I was thinking to how you were thinking.
Yeah, but possibly that point of view is right there. But judging on how this Destiny story has gone before, the chances are of him actually studying us and actually coming round and thinking, well, maybe these aren't actually bad guys here. We can work with them to free the rest of the hive race from the worms and bring the light to them and go from there. I'm still, the more and more I read recently, the more I think that at the end of the Destiny saga, we're going to go see you later to Earth and follow the Traveler.
I mean, I have always wanted to see what was outside the heliosphere.
Yeah. And then we'll go and find another race that's going to be gifted with the light. And then we'll become mentors and accept them into our alliance or our cabal, because that's what the cabal means. It's a collection of races.
Except it's not.
Well,
I mean, the cabal we have in this game is not a collection
It
of
is.
races.
It is.
What races are the cabal?
You got the Scions and the cabal.
And the dogs.
The Scions are not.
And the dogs.
Scions are not
and
the same species.
No,
You
they're
have
not.
the dogs as well.
That's what they were, slaves at one
Dogs
point,
don't
and the
count.
dogs. Yeah,
The hamsters, the not
Yeah,
Yeah, they're all
hamsters.
different versions, yeah.
the elephant women.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you had to bring her up, huh?
So next week we've got the last 4 entries, which would be quite nice, hopefully. And that forces Arf to come back with us again next week, regardless of what's going on in his family's life.
Ideally.
Well, thank you very much for dropping in, giving us some lore and chatting with us.
Well, thank you for the reminder as
catch
well.
up with
The
Because
reminder.
I would have I'd got a text message off Demon saying lore, and I was very cozy and very sleepy on the sofa watching Spider-Man.
Well, you can go back and
So
continue
I would have
that,
fallen asleep.
position.
All right, I'll see you later.
Adieu.
Hi.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your nap.
So, next week in Destiny.
Next week in Destiny, we are going to have Trials Freelance returning, because if you're not playing Trials absolutely alone with no comms, what are you doing with your life? We're going to delve into the Inverted Spire Nightfall, the Drifters feeling generous with bonus Gambit ranks. There you go, Nitedemon.
Called it.
Bonus Gambit rank week. You did. And Shax is to bring Clash to the Crucible, which is for all you people who don't want to do any objectives, that's Clash. Just shoot people, get points, win game. That's it. That's all you have to do. No objectives, just kill the people, which is basically how everyone plays all of Crucible anyway.
Yeah, even I'm Banner.
And if you're wondering what your pinnacles are going to be, it's going to be the Last Wish raid and the Shattered Throne dungeon in our
Featured
pinnacle
ones for the week, yeah.
weekly rotator thing.
As well as the current dungeon and current raid.
Mm-hmm.
Our duality and... What's the raid called, Respawn?
The new raid is called Vow the Disciple.
It is.
And moving right along into our challenges. So week 5 of our challenges, we have Sorrowbound 5. Complete Bound in Sorrow 5 and defeat Nightmares on the Moon. So that's Bound in Sorrow 5 completed and 75 Nightmares defeated on the Moon. And that's Challenge XP+. Nightmare Containment 3. Successfully complete Tears of Nightmare Containment public events on the Derelict Leviathan throughout the season. So hopefully this is going to be retroactive, because it says you have to do 150, and I know that one of the triumphs says that you have to do 100, so you've got to go above and beyond with this one. That's Challenge XP++. Empty Grief. Complete Sever Grief using only a Void subclass and Void kinetic or stasis weapons. And you get a Figment of Darkness and Challenge XP+. And with that, the same with last week's one, you have to go back and select the mission. And it wasn't until I was actually in the mission that I believe last week's one was like the first week that you had to redo as a solar subclass. So this week, I believe that Grief is the second mission. So you've got to now do that in the drop-down box, select it, and then go in with Void, Kinetic or Stasis weapons. Umbral Focusing 2. Focus equipment at the Crown of Sorrow throughout the season. So you've got to focus 6 weapons and focus 4 armor pieces. And that's Challenge XP+. So hopefully, again, that's another one that's retroactive, because if you've already done that, that should auto-complete. If not, that's another couple of things that you're going to have to focus. Linking the Chain of Command. Acquire the Chain of Command machine gun. So you just got to get that. And that's Challenge XP++ and some Bright Dust. So that one will definitely be retroactive. So if you've already got it from one of the playlists, there you go. Already done. Sorted. Sunburn. Defeat Guardians. Bonus progress is granted for opponents defeated with the help of solar effects. 200 Guardians. And that's Challenge XP++ and some Bright Dust. I'm not sure if that one's going to be retroactive, because Mayhem's up this week and it's not next week, so maybe you just got to kill 200 more people with solar stuff. And then finally, Leviathan Reaper, Cabal and Nightmare bosses. Defeat Cabal bosses in Strikes or Vanguard playlists and defeat Nightmares anywhere in the system. And it's 5 Cabal bosses and 5 Nightmare bosses. And that's Challenge XP++ and some Bright Dust. Now you may be wondering, why do I need lots of Bright Dust? Well, I can tell you that there is a little store called Eververse that you may be able to go and purchase some gifts for yourself. Because let's face it, it is gifts for yourself. Make yourself look pretty in-game, make your ghosts, make your sparrow, make your ships look pretty, make everyone else jealous. So there, yeah. You can go to Eververse. And our Eververse calendar for next week, which is week 5, begins on the 21st of June, 2022. Let me just reiterate, we do not need the concentrated matter gem, we do not need the glimmer shards, and we definitely don't need the scavenger spoons. Those are all items that you can put on your ghost to generate such wealth for yourself in game. But what you could use your Bright Dust on is the hydrofoil shell, which is an exotic ghost shell that looks like a boat with a captain's hat on top of him, for 2,850 Bright Dust. Next we have, it looks like the same emote that you can buy for silver in the same week, so possibly it might be an error, but again we can have the legendary emote the Conductor for 700 Bright Dust. We have the legendary Transmat effect with the Osfield entrance for 450 Bright Dust, and the Argent Terrigen, which is your legendary shader, for 300 Bright Dust. And then further down on your Bright Dust page, you can have the exotic emote Sparrow Getaway for 3,250 Bright Dust. You can have the Alone to be Joined, which is your legendary weapon ornament for the returning menagerie weapons, the Drying Baroque, for 700 Bright Dust. The Firebreaker exotic Ghost Shell for 2,850 Bright Dust. The Seafoam Glide, which is your exotic Sparrow, for 2,500 Bright Dust. We have the Junkyard Navigator exotic ship for 2,000 Bright Dust. And then we have our class items for our Hunter, Warlock and Titan next week for our Sun's Apex, Radiant Breaker and Dawn Singer universal ornaments. So they will all be 1,200 Bright Dust. And then finally we have the Splintered Projection, which is your legendary Ghost Projection for 1,500 Bright Dust. And then finally, on my list of things to tell you for what is happening next week, we have our Lost Sectors. Hello! So these are kind of caves and hidden areas on the maps that you may have kind of discovered or not discovered. If you have discovered them, they will be on your mini-maps as little kind of archways. What you can do is go and farm exotic armors, and for each day it will tell you on a flag outside the Lost Sector what the armor piece is, and you can select it to either be a legendary version or a master version. It will also tell you the burns for the day and the champions that are in there. Now the legend version is a lot easier. I say a lot easier. It's easier. Less champions. Master is a lot harder. Again, the light goes up. I think it's like 1590. But there will be more champions in there. It will be hard, but you get more of a common drop of exotics to drop in there. Not guaranteed. Common. So in theory, it's meant to be better than legendary, but some people find it's easier to play the legendary over and over again because it's quicker and they can run through it faster than they can do on the master and get an exotic. So if you're missing any exotic armor pieces and you haven't visited Xur, or if it's a seasonal armor piece like new for this season, Xur won't sell it, so you need to go and play these legendary lost sectors. And I believe there is a challenge, which was a couple of weeks ago, for doing one of these on Legend or Master. Every time you kill a champion, it gives you a life, so you do get lives in there, but if you do run out, or if you run out of time, that's it. It's kind of a death zone, and it kind of ends up wiping you if you don't complete it in time. I believe you get about 15 minutes, and after that time, all the lives, if you have killed all the champions up to that point, you kind of lose those lives, and it does just go into the death zone. But if you are searching for exotics or re-rolled versions or better stats on the versions that you've already got, it's not guaranteed that it will be the exact, say, helmet that you need for that day. You do have a chance at getting other helmets, but again, it's play it over and over again and see what you get. It's a way to actually play and farm those armor pieces. So for June 20th, which is Monday, we have the Metamorphosis, which is giving you exotic arms on the Throne World. June 21st, which is Speluncher, again on the Throne World, giving exotic chess pieces. Wednesday the 22nd of June will be Extraction, and that will be giving exotic helmets, and that will be also on the Throne World. Then we're back round to the EDZ on June 23rd, that is Thursday, giving you exotic legs in the Excavation Site 8. Friday the 24th of June will be the Skydock 4 on the EDZ, giving you exotic arms. Saturday the 25th will be the Quarry, giving exotic chess pieces, also on the EDZ. Sunday the 26th will be the K1 Crew Quarters on the Moon, giving exotic helmets. And then finally back round to Monday, June 27th will be the K1 Logistics again on the Moon, giving exotic legs. And I will find guides for all of those and put those in the show notes. And yeah, so if you are struggling, there are lots of guides out there, but Time Sausage Gaming, Ibontis, Legionless, and a couple of others do like separate guides for each kind of lost sector, which kind of help you out, kind of give you a strategy and show you where the champions and the bosses kind of come out. So it is handy to have a quick watch, or you could go in blind, but they're there if you need them. So there you go. That is everything that you need to know for next week in Destiny.
It is. And then Bungie would really, really, really like you to control those zones.
They would.
They would. They would. Now, I mean, next week they're going to tell you all about how you don't need to control the zones and go play Clash. But they're bringing back zone control, which, as the name might imply, is all about controlling the zones.
So what you mean is go around killing Guardians.
You know it. You know that nobody's going to pay any attention to this. As we had with Iron Banner Rift, just people didn't pay any attention to it, and they were just going around killing people and getting the KDs up and not actually playing the objective.
You know, I don't want to interrupt, but like even the YouTubers were talking about that. They're like, yeah, I know it's objective based, but for you to not show the KDR is kind of weird, Bungie. So they were even complaining that Bungie went so far as to not even show you KDR, to even like
it's an objective-based game mode.
People from just
I want to know what the objectives are. I want to know how to do it. I want to get there and be rewarded for it. That's it. I don't care about killing. If I cared about the killing, I'd play a different game mode that told me.
Where's my KDA? KDA.
It's in your post-game Carnage report that you have to go to the Bungie.net and find it that way.
I don't even know if it's there, but yeah.
Pretty sure it's there. I think all the data is there. So yeah, so Zone Control will come back starting next week. It's going to stick around through the rest of the season of the Haunted, except for Iron Banner, because then you go play Rift and ignore that objective instead. And, you know, for those of us who remember, you know, Zone Control back on the OG Destiny time frame, it's, again, you're controlling the zones. All the game mode cares about is you control the zones. It doesn't care about kills. Obviously, you need to get the kills to control the zones, but you're going to want to control the zones. And finally, you can control the zones with your friends, because you're going to want to load those zones up with you and at least two of your best friends, or, you know, least enemies. I don't care which, because the capture times are actually going to matter depending who's on the zones. So if you're a lone guardian saying, I'm desperately trying to win this game for my team and play the objective, 22.5 seconds to control that zone. 22.5 seconds. If you bring a friend, it's 10 seconds. Cuts it a little more in half. And then 3 Guardians, it's down to 7.5 seconds. So you can do 3 Guardians, 4, 5, 6 Guardians, and have a nice little party there. It's still going to be 7.5 seconds. So really, if you and 2 buddies run around and play zone control while the other 3 Yahoos go around killing everybody, you can win the game every time, and it's beautiful.
So when you say capture zones, is it basically 3 different zones, or is it just the 3 flags that we currently have in control that correspond to a certain zone?
It should be basically the map is exactly like normal control is today, just the rule set is changing.
So it's not like if I
So
walk
it's still
over
gonna be
an
your
imaginary
A, B, and C
line, it's going to
zones.
start capturing that zone. It's you have to actually still go to that flag, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So if you've played, control on any map, it's going to look and feel and play the exact same way. The game just is not going to give you points until you start capturing zones. Because the initial capture is going to give you 1 point, and then you'll get 2 points for every 15 seconds you hold a zone after that. So the idea is you want to capture the zone and keep the zone. So not just capture, but keep the zone. Hold the zones, friends. That's how you're going to earn points. You're going to earn no points by killing, just by holding zones. And the first team to 125 points wins. And if a team falls too far behind, and we detect that even if they had held 2 zones for the rest of the map, they wouldn't get enough points to catch up, you will get mercied. So you get mercied basically at the point where it's impossible to come back, and you're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
And that's something I definitely would like to see in the Iron Banner Rift, is that mercy rule, because that is hard. I mean, if you've been smashed 3 times in a row, I mean, there is ways to come back.
And it sounds like you've had a good night, bro. What are you talking about?
No, but I mean, if they smash that rift 3 times in a row within like a minute, surely the game must know that if they decide they want to drag it out and just farm kills for their KDs, that a mercy rule should be kind of come into effect. But the other question I was going to ask you, Peroty, is where would I find such a game mode? Because they haven't listed it in next week in Destiny. So this is going where in our director?
It should be in your Crucible director. It's technically part of the Crucible Labs. So I'm guessing they're going to bring the Crucible Labs little director icon back. But yeah, but hop up to Crucible. It'll be one of your many, many options. And if you're feeling really spicy, Trials of Osiris is going to feature the zone control variant as well. It'll also be a Trials rank bonus weekend. So again, if you're trying to find a reason to go play Trials, go play a game mode that most people are going to ignore and get some extra rank while you do it.
Fair enough.
And then we have a Pride Strike team where Bungie has raised like $500,000, and there's another new emblem. If you don't have it for some reason already, ML3 FT4 ND9 will give you a fancy new emblem. And then you too can have a new emblem to add to your massive collection of emblems.
I believe that was the same one they gave away last year, because I have got that one. So yeah,
it is, yes, because I went to go enter it, and it was the same one they gave away last year in the November 2021 timeframe. It looks like.
So what are they actually raising money for?
Charity.
What kind of charity?
All of the charities.
Which one?
Yeah, I mean, I know Transit Bungie is the group at Bungie behind this. Basically, it says, we're looking at LGBTQ plus owned businesses, charities. I'm sure the Bungie Foundation has, the folks they've worked with in the past and others.
Fair enough.
But I don't actually see it called out exactly what charities they're going to. But yeah, charity, as the money goes to. They apparently earned, just under $480,000 from selling the Pride pin. So, lots of money going to good places. And then we broke some things and fixed some things.
As usual.
Mm-hmm. So there was a hot fix that came in this past week for 103, which if you're doing your raids and dungeons, you're moving forward. Your Grasp of Avarice dungeon will only drop a pinnacle reward upon completion when it's featured dungeon of the week. That's it. Not all the time. Encounters completing during a non-featured week only have a chance to drop powerful rewards. And if you need a little refresher on the rotator system, they do point you back to the TWAB for the week of the 14th of April 2022, where they talk about the rotators. And that's why in Next Week in Destiny, we tell you what the rotators are, because that's where your pinnacles come from.
Yep.
In the Vault of Glass, poor Atheon, poor Templar, they fixed an issue where a Titan's solar throwing hammer could interrupt boss attacks from the Templar. And they fixed an issue where sunspots could break the immune shields in the Vault of Glass, Garden of Salvation, and Vow of the Disciple.
But not anywhere else that we know of yet.
Not that they're
Or
saying
not
anyway.
anybody like Cheese is letting on.
No, they would never. In the Derelict Leviathan, in the Sever missions, they fixed an issue where players could not teleport out of the Shame and Reconciliation Sever activities after the boss is defeated. So you get nothing, you lose. Good day, sirs.
I like the next line.
They say, look, Sever is supposed to be emotional, but that doesn't mean we're meant to trap you there, okay? We'll call it bonding. Yeah, bonding. So so if you weren't able to complete those and get your rewards, now you should. Your Nightmare Containment, they fixed an issue where the Machinist refused to rocket and stomp players when she was supposed to, so we gave her a stern talking to, and now she's back to her usual shenanigans.
Oh, get rid of the stomp mechanics. Don't add more.
Well, they didn't add more, they just put them back in. The Machinist will also now periodically shoot a blaze of rockets at players and stomp you when you get too close. The Machinist does not want to be your friend. No touchy. No. Trials of Osiris, they fixed an issue where players were not appropriately matchmates based on the win count in Trials of Osiris, which quite honestly feels like every single week the Trials has ever been up, ever. And they did fix the flawless pool, so that will be enabled again Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific. So you will theoretically have a slightly better time playing if you're playing this weekend.
I mean,
and weekends going forward.
I did see a YouTuber actually complaining on Twitter saying that they don't like it going back to this with like being locked out because they can't kind of double carry.
Train roll
they
everybody?
can't double carry without kind of dropping off after 6 wins. And like, but if you're that good a player that you can do double carries, what is the issue with you going flawless at the end of the week to get your loot?
Oh well, I can't double carry against people my own skill level.
Or maybe just
if you're double carrying, you're already the top 1% of the top 1%, and yes, I can see how that could be frustrating. I get that, and that's your livelihood, and that's your thing. But you're not going to get a lot of sympathy from the rest of us who are being stomped by you.
Right? We're the ones being stomped by you, homeboy.
Yeah,
we don't care.
It's a game. Everyone's trying to have fun and play it and make their money the way they need to, want to. But yeah, you're never going to make everybody happy. It's just never going to happen. Mm-hmm. Just like your well-rounded perk will no longer trigger when the player cancels a charge grenade now. So now you should actually have that working too. And that was your hot fix. And they're also going to look into the issues with airborne effectiveness, in that it's all a lie and you shouldn't believe anything that it says. But the Sealed Amankara Grasps, the Lion Rampart, the Peacekeeper, the Peregrine Greaves, and the Wings of Sacred Dawn aren't doing what they should be doing for their advertised airborne effectiveness stats when equipped.
See many YouTube videos, many Twitter comments for explanations of why things aren't working, and people are angry if you don't run along the ground like us normal peasants.
Yeah.
That's right, man. If you're going to go in the air, look, I'll make it simple for you. If you're going to go in the air with a primary, you need at least 60. If you're going to go in the air with a special, you need 100. Flat out. Now, the problem is, there's only a few exotics per class that can get that high. And even outside of the Warlocks, I don't think...
And
can any classes outside of the Warlocks actually get to 100 with a weapon that isn't already high AF?
Don't know. And Bungie also don't know because they're telling us that there are issues.
Yeah, even the ones you should be using aren't working properly. I don't know. It's a stat I've completely ignored. I'm going to continue completely ignoring it. So,
stay on the ground, boys and girls.
Which is what sounds like Bungie's plan. Your GXC emblem distribution. If you donated towards the celebration, you should expect your all donation emblems to be distributed around the week of June 27th. So sometime next week, you should see your emblem that you've been waiting on.
Yeah.
My jacket, Bungie. Where's my raid jacket?
They periodically post things to Bungie Help about when things are shipping. You'll get it eventually. And the known issues that they're going to tell us about this week, not all the known issues, but some known issues. The Flawless Thought Stealer Triumph requires players to complete all encounters in the Duality Dungeon without any members of the fire team dying. The Tears of Contrition Scout Rifle displays the incorrect magazine options when shaping the weapon at the relic, and upon shaping it, it is then displayed incorrectly.
So everything's incorrect.
So your Scout Rifle is going to be a little wonky. I hope you didn't break down your Without Remorse shotgun because it does not appear in collections, and you'll be filled with remorse if you wanted to get one back from there. The Conflux Legend Lost Sector requires the Rift Legend Lost Sector to be unlocked.
Okay.
I don't know why the Conflux and the Rift Lost Sectors are friends, but apparently they're friends, and
So that's mainly if you're a new Guardian then,
'Cause
and you
Bungie
haven't
says so.
done all the legendary or done the Lost Sectors on Nessus.
Mm-hmm. The Leviathan Destination Weekly Challenge does not progress for some players. Just doesn't feel like it. And certain weapons damage buffs are not functioning correctly in PvP, including the Will Given Form buff from the Aegir's Scepter Catalyst.
If going back a little bit, what you just said about it not progressing properly, it did that for me a few times. What I did is I went and played a different, like if it was
Different
supposed to be the
activity?
Zavalas this week,
Yeah.
right? And Zavala didn't progress. You go back and you do the previous week's one, and then it'll let you do the next one up. For me, it did. I mean, so if you guys are having that issue, go back to a previous one, and then it should unlock the actual one for you.
Or maybe it won't. Who knows?
Or maybe it won't.
So none of us went to GCX, did they, this year? We don't go any other year, but I'm just saying the person that lives in Florida could have gone, but didn't go and
I didn't even
report
know
on
it
it.
was a thing.
Well, all the other YouTubers have gone to GCX, all had fun, had pictures of each other, talking to each other. I just thought, you might actually do some kind of research this year, but no.
I didn't know it was a thing.
We tell you.
I mean, Gator and I could have
Yeah.
gone. Gator.
Oh,
the other
so you're going to blame Gator?
Yeah, he should have reminded me.
Okay,
Yeah,
Gator.
totally his fault.
Should have reminded him. Next year, he needs a reminder. And then also picking
could've
up
walked
from the bus
together.
stop and then taking back to the bus
Right.
stop when you finish with him.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, just show up at his house. I mean, as discussed, he even has a minivan, so he can drive. You just have to remind him he needs to. That's all. And then there's, as always, there's videos, there's art. It's all lovely. The beauty of raids was a nice little cinematic trailer through, the beautiful raids that Bungie creates.
nothing's gonna be as beautiful as DSC. I don't even care what you say. Bite me.
I'm not going to say anything. And Cosmo would like us to go give the long audio thing a read. And that's really all he has for us in the 12. The audio blog, the Game Dev Diaries, they did a hidden world of audio that I'm about halfway through reading. For being a very short 12, they dropped a lot of other things. There was the Engineering Values Handbook for the player experience first, which was just basically, we like our players, programming is hard, come work for us, was basically what that article was. It was a couple of quotes from some of the developers and engineers about like how they solve some problems, but on a very high level. It was basically like, oh yeah, it seems that we focus on players and by the way, we have 3 jobs open and more. Come work here.
Oh, but Bungie. I can answer phones. Does that help?
You can, but you're in the UK. You're not in one of the approved states, which two-thirds
Can
of
we
us
just
are.
expand it to the UK as
So
well?
weird that it's just they have approved states instead of just like all of America. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's probably infrastructure or legal or God only knows what. I mean, you've got 50 different states to deal with.
I mean, I guess, but like, if you live here, you can work for us. It's like, what?
And slightly going back to the 12 this week, the picture by Brian Monkus, that is my Destiny 2 Sunbreaker this week. I've finished collecting my second ornament and then actually used some silver. I actually purchased some silver and bought the rest of my outfit for my Titan. So he now looks like a flaming god like that. And I was quite impressed with it.
Excellent. And normally I'll read these community focuses, and they're either people I don't really know or they're the people that everybody knows. It was nice to see that Crit Buff got a community focus this week. Who, if you don't know, is a guy who says, "I'm going to review PvP weapons by getting 1,000 kills with them in PvP first." So
I've heard about this guy. You told us about him before.
Yeah, so he really sits and he's also just like a 40-year-old guy who works a normal job who isn't here gaming 24/7. And his whole thing is like, I really want to review this weapon, but I want to sort of use it long enough to really get a good feel for it.
Be able to review it, yeah.
Yeah, so it was nice to see him get a little feature this week.
Nice.
Which I thought was cool. Because he's again, just a cool little niche and doesn't have like a trillion people following him, so.
And you did a bit of reading this week, didn't you? You were telling me of some of the links for, is it GameSpot? Did a couple of...
Yeah, GameSpot has a couple of interviews. I think one that you linked to and one that I saw linked somewhere. Because, Games Radar had
Oh, that was it.
Bungie talking Destiny 2 Season of the Haunted, it being harder, scarier, building more endgame. Basically, they say, duality, they sort of set out to make duality harder. That was sort of their goal. And they were like, they've heard a lot of people giving feedback of, this absolutely rocked me, or this was a little bit too easy. So they're like, this is perfect. If we're getting both ends of feedback, people are unhappy on both ends, we have a good compromise. So that it sort of ended up where they wanted it to.
Yeah.
And this is for what, the dungeon?
Yeah, the new duality dungeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they talked about the dungeon pass and producing more content, and basically saying, you can allocate, basically you can throw more people at a problem, but you can't really make the things any faster. So just saying, hey, if you're going to have, they've literally doubled the amount of raid and dungeon content in a year. And if you're going to do that, it's got to pay for itself somewhere. You can't just continue to do more and more and hire more and more people without, getting a little bit of money out of that mix. So that's what they were saying, they figured, if you're hardcore and you're going to play it, you've already bought it in the past. And if not, here's a piecemeal way to pay for it. Or if you just don't care at all, you can ignore it entirely and move on with life. And then they touched a little bit on the crafting system. Basically, it was Todd Farnsworth.
Yeah,
I can't look for his
Tom
first name.
Farnsworth is the guy that...
Yeah, Tom Farnsworth basically saying the mix Bungie is aiming for with the crafting system, because it's sort of weird to have a, here's your random rolls, here's your crafting, is, sort of looking for a few crafted masterpieces to go with your luckiest god roll. So still very much being like, both of these are going to coexist in this game. And, the mix is going to be, you can make a couple of things you really want, but then it's still a looter shooter at heart. It's still looking for that absolute god roll of the other things in the game that aren't, so it's not going crafting and not going anything else. It's still a looter shooter. Yeah. And then the last little piece they touched on was sort of just saying, talking about, bringing vaulting content and then unvaulting the content, basically saying like with Vaulted Glass, they were able to bring that back and more or less just like, basically update the systems, update the underlying technology, and do some testing with it, and it was basically good to go to drop into the game. Whereas the Leviathan, they were like, that took a lot more work and the opulent weapons of bringing that stuff back and getting those updated and trying to balance them in the current sandbox, and just talking about the struggles, trying to find that balance of bringing the older content back, and how do you bring it back in a way that feels good, it is interesting. And they were saying they sort of like how they were able to sort of bring back the all the weapons from Menagerie and the Leviathan and sort of marry those two together as experience. They were saying, we've got these beloved weapons, we can bring those back in this location that we visited before, but it's still a very different location.
I see what you did there.
Okay.
And then they talked a lot about horror, and specifically calling out Trevor, the killer Zamboni from the Secret Hour missions.
Yeah.
And talked about how they really enjoy doing horror stuff and like leading into horror. So, not to say that Bungie's going to become a horror game, but now it makes me think, what if their new unannounced project is something along those lines?
Trevor's so terrifying, though, man. Like, like, okay, real talk here for a second, right?
We do real talk all the time.
Like that is the only time in Destiny 2 I've had a legitimate jump scare where I was actually afraid. Is when that thing just pops up out of nowhere. You jump down the hole and he's right there, and your heart stops for a second.
For any new Guardians wondering what the hell he's talking about, is that it was a mission to get the Outbreak perfected, which is now not in the game. So there was just a jump scare bit that scared Respawn. It went through many weeks of therapy. We had to hug him.
Huh? Okay.
There was crying. He couldn't even look at the game. He was that terrified.
Yeah, they even got a little video of Trevor in here, talked about, how terrifying Trevor was. It's good times.
But I will link all those articles if anybody wants to have a quick read of those, if you don't believe Peroty's summary of them. But some very interesting stuff coming in the future.
Yeah. And the game post one was more or less just like, we're trying to balance, this now 8-year-old franchise with welcoming new players and welcoming old players, and talking about, again, Lightfall and then in the final shape, what that's going to look like and where the story is going after that.
Hopefully a kind of mini movie to get new Guardians into the throes of it, knowing what's gone on before. So something maybe a cross between the ink blot stuff and some of the cutscenes to kind of get you up to speed and not have to do that whole sure harm thing of, I mean, you still need to do something like that just to get people orientated with how Destiny works, but obviously something a bit more like catch up on the story and then get you into all these different mechanics, because it's definitely overwhelming if you're a new person coming into the game. There's a lot of stuff that you kind of need to go away and research and look at YouTube and read about before you can kind of understand how things work. I mean, I know it's like that with every game these days. I mean, I was watching my wife play The Witcher, and I'm like, all these different things that she's having to do, like crafting spells, picking up these things. I'm like, oh dear, this looks like trouble. I'm not getting into that one. But yeah, every game has its kind of...
Have you never played The Witcher?
No.
Oh my goodness.
That's her game to keep her occupied. Yeah, because Bungie called out. They're like, yeah, they're like, you can go to YouTube and read about the lore and see the story and the recaps. And they're like, people are doing great work there, but they're like, we should also do a better job at somehow introducing people into this world and keeping them there. And again,
Bungie.
TV, movies, books.
If you listen
comics.
back in this episode, I've done some lore stuff with some voicing. I can help. We can all help. Employ us. We'll do it. No? Okay.
I mean, I agree with you.
Improve states.
I wouldn't mind working for Bungo. I'd be the new Vanguard.
They're desperately hiring. They've got many jobs
Hashtag
open.
respawn for president.
Respawn for Vanguard.
That's the one. So we have a Respawn's report roundup this week.
It does, and I'm looking at it right now. We have, I'm assuming it starts today's stuff. Yeah, because Spider Size was last week. Okay. Tom Warren. The main reason I've ever played Bungie games and Destiny is because the gunplay is amazing. These in-air accuracy changes to Destiny 2 totally ruin that, and are probably the worst thing they have ever done to PvP. Hugo says, shout out to Gigs for purposefully testing airborne effectiveness right in front of everyone to prove of horrible this new system is. And I said that exactly how it's written. Ascendant Nomad says, just stay on the ground, bro. Just like that.
Just like that.
And Destiny Bulletin says, Destiny 2, boots on the ground, version confirmed. Destiny Bulletin also says a lawsuit was filed last year against a Destiny 2 cheat maker, the Elite Boss Tech, has reached an agreement of $13.5 million in damages to Bungie. That is not an insignificant amount of money. Representing statutory damages of $2,000 per download violation, 6,765 total downloads. Wow. That is crazy. I hope you got money, bro. I hope it was worth it. Bungie Help says, we have fixed an issue where Master Raid challenges for Vault of Glass were not active. Players should now be able to complete all the Master Challenges. Bungie Help also says, we are currently investigating an issue where some players are reporting the incorrect version of the Horror's Least pulse rifle from this week's Nightfall. We will provide more details as this investigation continues. Paul Tassi says, hey, they fixed the weapon level up bar. DMG says, yep.
So with that,
honestly, I don't know what it was.
I'm guessing
before,
didn't it take up like 3/4 of the bottom of the screen, and now it's kind of just a little thin bar at the bottom?
I actually don't know.
Go and level up a weapon and go and
Usually when my
find
weapon
out.
levels up, I'm fighting a bunch of people in Shirochi's office, so...
Fair enough.
I never paid attention, to be honest with you. Chevy says, if there was one thing I'd like information on, it's if there's any plan on updating the buff/debuff UI. It's frustrating questioning what buffs I have. Having 2 standards plus a nightmare timer takes 3 of the 4 lines alone. Is there anything in the works? DMG replies and says, while I can't say anything in the works, I can acknowledge this is a known feedback item that the team is aware of. We will be sure to add feedback from you and everyone who's replied to the thread to the list. Many thanks. I mean, it's not that hard to have a buff list on the side. I mean, look at WoW. WoW, you have like 40, 50 buffs and debuffs on the side. Elden Ring, they put all your buffs and debuffs underneath your health bar. It's not a hard thing to do, Bungie. I mean...
Well, they are kind of getting there now. I mean, when I'm running around the Leviathan, I've got about 5 different buffs that will kind of show up on the screen with different timers running down, and so they are kind of working on it. It's getting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, but you know,
not quick enough.
It's not a difficult thing to do
for some people.
DMG says, "Huh? We should do another fashion show soon. Maybe even some Bungie bounties. But what if we didn't require players to hit PvP? What about Gambit? Maybe even strikes? How about a big ol' art gallery? Weekly features in the TWAB are fun, but it can be great to do larger roundups too. Always love this kind of stuff." It kind of just seems like he's ranting here. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Talking to himself.
I guess. It's just like, yeah, cool, bro. That's all. And actually, that seems to be it for the report roundup. Yeah.
It is.
Wow. That is not a lot of content this week.
No, I mean, it's a very light week, and luckily we had some lore to fill it with.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. I got a video.
I have seen,
you
yes,
guys.
you've got a video.
I saw the title.
Respawn has a tip video that he'd like to share with everyone.
Not even a tip, honestly. The thumbnail is misleading, right? It's a clickbait thumbnail, but the thumbnail is "You don't need a Titan anymore," and basically it was how last season the Titans were really the only ones that could take advantage of the Void. I'm specifying Void overshields, right? But now with this season, and we have that new Void, what's it called? Perk. I forgot what it's called, but like when you pop a Void bubble with a Void weapon, you get an overshield. Now they're trying to say that, oh, you no longer need Titans because now the other classes have access to overshields just as much. But the video contradicts itself by saying Titans still have the best usage of this gun as far as acquiring Void shields. So, clickbait, it is still kind of fun to watch, and if you're a hunter looking to have Void overshields all the time, not a bad video to check out. This is to give Void hunters specifically even more survivability than we already had, since we don't have access to the mods last season that kept us alive. So it's just something to take a look at if you want to. It's also good for warlocks, but yeah, it's still Titans that have the best advantage as far as creating Void overshields. Yeah, it's by TDT. That is Tango Delta Tango. Link will be in the description.
It is. It's in the show notes already. It's copied, pasted. It's there, ready to go. So when the episode drops, it's there.
And I'm sure you got some stuff too. You
I do.
Have stuff. What you got?
I have a video by Truds who goes over a broken mod for a warlock build. Now this is with the ashes to assets that you can put on your helmets. And what that does is that it gives you a bit of super energy every time that you get a kill with a grenade. Now he's pairing this with the... I can't remember the name of the grenades. It's the ones that attach and explode twice. Is it fusion?
Fusion, yeah.
So yeah, he's pairing this with the fusion grenades, which attach to a person and then detonate twice. And with the ashes to assets and doubling up on your helmet, and the rework for the way that the warlocks are at the moment with aspects and fragments, every time that you kind of get a kill with the solar grenade, it kind of procs more damage than every time it kind of explodes, it procs more damage. So the example that he gives is Dawnblade, that I believe it's like 10 minutes 25 seconds as a normal cooldown. He can get it down, I think, about a minute. It's a PvE build, but it's fantastic to suddenly get you super that quickly. So go check that video out.
You just spam nades. Once you get a kill with your finger snap, you have unlimited nades for a while. So yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, it goes over the build and why Bungie might possibly patch it soon.
And Ashes to Assets is on grenade damage or grenade kills?
I can't remember off the top of my head. You're in game?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if it's on damage, that's why this is so fast, right? Because you can just throw a few at a boss and it goes tick, 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 you know?
Well, no, he was saying it adds as he was going through the level, but it was just like triggering to the next ad because the explosions were getting bigger and further with sort of the aspects and fragments.
Speaking of explosions,
Yes.
I just put it in the thing. You probably already have it, but it was by Plunder the Booty. He shows you how to make tons of explosions using either your Drang or your mini tool, your Callus mini tool. It takes advantage of that new perk Incandescent with some of the mods that we have access to.
And it's also they are both working as exotics, aren't they, as well? So there's a mod that you can get on your class item that when you get a kill with the solar exotic weapon, it will drop an orb of power. So the Drang and the mini tool are actually working as exotics because I guess they kind of work with exotics.
Well, the Drang is working as an exotic. The mini tool isn't working as an exotic, but it does have the incandescent perk to proc the explosions. Yeah. But
just as a rule of thumb for like the forever, well, Plunder the Booty, he's permanently in the show notes as go check out his channel.
Basically,
So,
yeah. So the Hunter throwing knife we had a while back, where you would throw the proximity knife and it would detonate, and then detonate everything around that. He's basically figured out a way to do this using the Drang and the Callus mini tool, right?
Okay.
So when you kill an ad, that ad detonates, and the detonation has a big radius. I'm sorry, ignition. It's called ignition now. So when it ignites, it's got a huge radius, and it kills another red bar, which then detonates, and it causes this chain reaction. And he's doing a Master Nightfall at 1590, and all he's doing is aiming for the red bars, because the red bars detonate each other, and their detonations are what's killing the yellow bars and the bosses, right?
Yeah. Ooh.
So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun, and all you need is a sidearm and some red bars.
I think that's something we definitely have to highlight here and now. It's that the fact where they've reworked these subclasses, PvE has got a lot funner to play with, like
Definitely.
taking out so many ads and being able to spec into these builds and being able to do like the Void 3.0 was fantastic with having to kind of work with that in those constraints, and now Solar has just kind of opened it up even further, and I can't wait to see what we've got for Arc.
Right. And I've been looking at a bunch of builds, right? Especially for the Hunter, whenever I get to go back to that class. There's a bunch of builds that really look fun on Hunter and give me that whole I'm a rogue ninja and I just kill everything with my throwing knives build. Because there's a build for each throwing knife that gives you infinite throwing knives and you get infinite kills, right? But the only thing that's the saving grace for playing Titan this season is because the one move you guys have where you jump up in the air and you slam on the ground, that thing is the only thing that's given me any kind of joy this season. You know what I mean? Because, like, can I kill stuff with the throwing hammer? Yeah, I can do the whole Thor thing, right? But it's just not as fun as just setting out this wave of.
Well, no, I'm still waiting for the chest piece or the helmet that summons the hammer back to me.
Oh.
Come on, Bungie, get on it.
That. I mean, a lot of people are jumping on that bandwagon. Even D&D right now. Wizards of the Coast just put out a new subclass called Path of the Giant for its barbarians, aka Titan, right?
Yeah.
And all of their weapons, one-handed, two-handed, doesn't matter. All of their weapons get the thrown property, right? And when you throw your weapon, whether you hit or miss, it immediately comes back to your hand. And I'm just like, yep. Everybody's getting on that bandwagon, man.
Yeah, I need a bungee cord on that hammer.
No, it doesn't even come back like Thor's hammer. It just reappears in their hand. You know?
Well, speaking of hunters, Patagates Gaming has got you covered for when you do eventually get back on your hunter with 3 top solar hunter builds that you need to try. You specifically need to try, but everyone else out there, you need to try. Now, these are mainly, he says that they were PvE, but they can be modified, as he does in the video, shows you how they can be modified into PvP builds. So go and check those ones out. That's pretty cool.
These are basically the ones I'm talking about. Yeah, I can see because there's the proximity knife with the gauntlets. Yep. There's the throwing. Yeah, those are the 3 that I was talking about. He just put them all in one video. I like that. Yep.
All there, ready for you. Done.
That.
Cheese Forever has a couple of cool ones this week. Infinite Ignition Glitch, and this means the boss dies in 2 hits. Now this is, if you've got a VPN, you can slow your kind of connection down
Yep.
to, I believe it was over 100 he was doing it. So he was remotely saying that he was in like Japan from where he is, and it was giving him a ping of like over 100. Shows you on a couple of bosses and a couple of Lost Sector bosses exactly what it does and what it says on the tin. And the other one that's been discovered, and I'm not sure, I saw one by Esoteric and this one I saw by Choose Forever first, is there's a double ammo glitch happening in PvP and PvE. Now you need a weapon with explosive rounds and shoot to loot. And if you shoot the brick in the centre, it gives you double the amount of loot, or gives you double the amount of ammo, if that makes sense. Because I can't speak.
I mean, hopefully they got it. I have no
Yeah.
idea what you're talking about, but okay.
Now, Respawn, are you a fan of the original Batman, the TV series?
You know,
For its campiness.
I
For, you know,
can't
remember
actually
when you were a
answer that.
kid?
I
You
haven't
know,
seen
used to-
enough of it. I'll be honest with you.
Did you not watch it when you were a kid?
No. When I was a kid, we didn't really have access to TV channels.
Oh. Is it 69? Batman
Yeah,
69?
But I'm talking about we had the
the
TVs that we had to have the bunny ears and whatnot, and yeah. So
in Back to the Future. I'm envisioning Back to the Future here.
basically,
whirl the
yeah,
TV
I
in.
got news channels and I think one cartoon channel when I was growing up.
Well,
What about it?
if you remember, Batman in the 60s had that really cool black Batmobile with a red trim around it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, there is a ship in the game this week, only this week,
What?
that you can get for Bright Dust. You'll probably have to use silver for following. It's called the Shining Cabriolet. Now, Time Sausage Gaming has discovered if you get this ship and you put a certain shader on it, it looks exactly like the Batmobile.
Hold on.
No
I'm logging in.
joking.
Hold
I'm
on.
going to have to go and get this. And I believe the shader, I'm just going to bring up the video. I'm just going to quickly tell you because it is a specific shader that you need. Shader that you need is called Crimson Valor. And it's about the third page from the end on the top row if you've got like all the original beginning shaders. So yeah, Crimson Valor, the Shining Cabriolet, looks like a Batmobile.
Working on Bungie's logging in too slow.
Well, while you do that,
Log
I
in
will tell you
faster.
that Cool Guy has a video going over flinch resist and how he explains it down to why it is amazing this season and what Bungie have done to perfect the flinch resist on all the weapons basically. So if you want a kind of a quick breakdown video of that, Cool Guy's got you covered. Now, Fallout Plays this week has done you a Duality Dungeon damage bug. This is a bug that is happening with Charge with Light. So if you have the Charge with Light mod, which I believe is about 4 energy on, I think you can put it on any item, any armor piece, and once you're charged with light, you do more damage to an enemy until it's kind of dead and you use up your charge of light. Now, there is a damage.
Yes. I
There is a
remember that, yeah.
damage bug that using glaives and just meleeing with the glaive and killing an enemy doesn't use the charge with light buff. So you can go around and melee people and then bosses and stack other buffs on top. I mean, he goes into great detail in his video of what other buffs kind of stack with this so that you can kind of like one phase the duality dungeon boss, and it looks insane with the amount of stuff that you can do.
Yeah, that's
tractor cannons in there
because-
and things, and
It's because the glaive melee kills don't count towards getting rid of the charge with light buff.
no,
Yeah.
which
So-
I think Bungie's gonna patch at some point or do something.
Just leave it be. Just leave it be.
You know
It's
they're
fine.
not going to. So
It's
while
fine.
it's
Just leave it
available,
be.
we're going to kind of highlight it for you. And then we have Ibontis giving you a Crown of Sorrow best upgrade path. So if you're kind of looking at the Crown of Sorrow going, I've got these Figments of Darkness, what do I need to kind of use them on first to get the most benefit from? And you kind of want a bit of an explanation? Ibontis has got you covered.
I mean, it does depend entirely on what you want. Like, I wanted to weapon craft as fast as I could. So it depends on your goal. You
Yeah.
know?
No, I mean
Yeah.
that's what he says in his videos. Like he breaks it down for if you're going for this, do this. If you're going for this, do this.
Oh, nice.
And then Plunder the Booty channel just every week. Just that
in general,
guy.
just
is-
put them on your list and just watch
Yeah.
them.
Ring that bell for the notifications because there's literally a video a day, maybe 2, sometimes 3.
Yeah, he pumps out some content, dude. Like, wow. But yeah, I mean, it's good stuff. So take a look at it. I have the ship. I have the Shada. I have the Murder of Crows. Let's see what it looks like in orbit. Let's see, boop, bop, beep, bop, boop, bop, bop.
Have you got the Batmobile?
I do. I has the Batmobile.
It looks like the Batmobile, doesn't it?
I'm working. I haven't seen it in orbit yet, as I was already in orbit and I had my ship on, so I got to land somewhere and then take off again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, aesthetically, just from looking at it from the front, the color scheme does match, and kind of if you imagine the wings like Batmobile tires, yeah, kind of, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
And then you got to put the Murder of Crows on there because Batman shows up with bats.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, it's a good idea. Well, isn't there a bat one as well that you could get?
I don't know if there's a bat one specifically. There's one where you have wings. You could do like your own Batman entrance or whatever.
Go down to Amanda Holiday in the tower, who kind of sells you transmat effects.
I forget she does it. I'm gonna be real.
She does. So that's it from me this week. That's all my tips, tricks, guides, and builds. And have you got anything else that you'd like to share?
I do not, except the black screen of doom. I just now, one of the things is I'm still trying to get that daggum exotic from the raid. Shut up. I know. But like, I've gone through the raid so many times, I can craft all but like one or two weapons. I can craft everything. I've gone through the damn thing so much. And I still can't get the freaking exotic. Oh yeah, it looks like the
Squirrel!
Batmobile. Oh, that's kind of dope. It's a little bit fat for the Batmobile, but I can totally see it. I like it.
So if that's it, I'm going to hand back over to Peroty and he can take us out.
So this is where I'm going to say thank you for joining us. Your Titans are Peroty and Nitedemon, your hunters. No one responds in real life. Your lore scribe, who's back with us, is not Arf. Still awake on the couch.
Until he goes on
doing his
holiday
best.
again.
You should email the show. That's what you should do. You should email us at twotitansandahunter@hotmail.com. Send us little love messages on Twitter at twotitans_hunter. Or if you prefer Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, basically we're all there. You can send us little love notes everywhere. One of us, most likely on Nitedemon, will read them and give you proper feedback in only the most British way he can. And you should find the rest of us dancing in the Leviathan, trying to contain nightmares, and, dealing with the after effects of Trevor. You should listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, everywhere fine podcasts are sold, and watch the show on YouTube because, it's there. It's there because we love you, and that's why we do this every single week.
Bye.
Later.
Two Titans and a Hunter, a Destiny 2 podcast.
To get me and the kids to Disneyland for, I think it was a week, was something like 10 grand.
What, Florida or
Well,
Paris?
that also counts for the flight to get over here
Flights,
too, man.
hotels, everything, all inclusive for all 7 of us.
Was that Paris or Florida? Oh, right, okay.
We have the very few times we go to Disney, because we're not really Disney fans here, we're more Universal. But the very few times we do go, we know somebody that works there, and they can get a number of people in for free, and then the rest of the people
Actually,
can get
saying
in for a
that,
discount.
that was before I had friends in Florida that could actually put us up for the week.
His house ain't that big.
Well, I was just gonna say, and I believe the Florida residents possibly get a break on get those in Florida rates, so it'll be a little less absurd. Not that it won't be absurd; it'll just be lesser absurd.
So all I've got to do is get to Florida now.
Mm-hmm.
So how far is it from
Just
you
Pebble
to
West.
Florida to Orlando? Is it Orlando it's in?
From me to Disney is about 45
See?
minutes.
He probably could see the Magic Kingdom from where he's sitting if he looks out the window.
And you could rent a minivan.
I see the Magic Kingdom quite a bit, and I own a minivan already.
Oh, there you go. I've got transport thrown in for free.
Perfect.
He's laughing.
Who needs airport
He doesn't know how
transfers?
serious I am.
Hey, we could double this. We could almost get three presenters in one room in one go.
Yo, I said minivan. Mini being the key word there, okay? I can only seat 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in it. And
That's
there's
right.
100 people
That's
on the
my
floor.
family and you driving us.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Wow. I
And
feel
you can
so
geek out with Deacon as well.
used.
You know how well you and Deacon
Oh.
get on.
Yeah. Too bad.
Who would live through that encounter?
No, I honestly think they'd get on like a house on fire.
The children.
I mean, the house
I
might
think
actually
it's
be on
fine.
fire at
Yeah.
the same time, but
Seems
Yeah.
likely.
Mm-hmm.